In 2022, we have the winter solstice at 1:36 p.m. on Wednesday, December 21st. So the nearest sunset starts Yule. And the chant we have this year in Luzvama is Pavwazam Buff Zadov Zazorg Gahar Zahi Vibzo Weepzo Ziu are in a different dialect. Pavwazam Buff Zadov Zazorg Gahar Zaheh Za Weepzo Ziu. And so what are your initial impressions of that before I get into some of the meaning that I have here for those terms, the chant?
Well, I'm thinking opposites and reversals. Um, it's like sleeping in the winter, but awakening in spring. But who's to say it could be the opposite, you know? It's just, I'm seeing and feeling a lot of reversals, like something you see may not be what it appears to be. It could be the opposite of that. It's kind of like when I was younger and I realized everything I'd been taught was a lie. Something to that effect. To
Well, to that effect, but one
that effect.
need not be to take that stuff too literally, because then you end up in the same problem or even more so.
Right.
But so
Oh,
some
yeah.
term Alepso or Upsa is north. Stone is Szorg. Sahi is the late afternoon. And one would think it'd be the middle of the night, but it came in as late afternoon, what we're looking at here. Of course, late afternoon in on the East Coast is when the solstice comes in. So probably for the bulk of American population, that would be the time for it. We have earthquake, vibration, bosom. We have Vubzo is voice, wind, musical instrument. Ziu is service, and I'm not sure what the rest of the stuff is at the moment. But related to the Sangre Para Satanas group, we have this sigil here. And so the sigil we see sort of the well, it is what it is. But if you have a circle within a circle, that's often a representation of the moon or the cyclical or that sort of thing. 666, the moon card has 18 drops on it. It's number 18. We have a down and a verse triangle. So we got the face, we got the moon element, and there's some other stuff that may go with that. But the chant that I got related to that group is husband Vabi Zim Zolis Zah Rior Lam Uzir Pavmarks Vamgav Zapti And zipti, one has recognized its placement elsewhere, but zipti is the word for edge, term, beyond the terms, timed. So all that at once, basically. Vabi is the word for blood. Zolis is the word for water. Oris is the word for fire. And and feel free while I'm looking this up to share your impressions related to that and the symbol, what you think, what it means to you.
Well, the triangle, it just stands out to me so much. I remember a while back, actually earlier this past summer, like within my mind, I kept seeing triangles, triangles. And eventually it came to me. I did actually a little morning blessing, I guess you could say, where I played with triangular or close to triangular shaped stones and the shadows that the sun, the morning sun would cast, and make
As much
using
as
the
it's
little
the
stones.
Pythagorean thing, I have now, I'm not going out of my way with expense or something like that, really, but finding four-sided stones or deciding, okay, what of my stones are about four-sided and what I'm going to do with them. Now, my grammarium vorum working stone is approximately four sides too, but that's not really for that. But I did decide that I wanted a four-sided stone picked for that. And this is also about a four-sided stone as well, my seasonal stone. You can't really see it too well, but it's, nice and orange. Little piece of quartz, really. I think it's quartz. But Riora is like the word for Satan, and I know Satan relates to Satan, which is adversary, but it's as more as like the devil. So Yor would be the devil, and Azir would be Satan, but enemy, adversary, opponent. And okay, what other words we have in here? But I'm going to list off here. I've picked a series of verses that represent the blood fire covenant bit. So I'm sure that's one of the words. I just can't find it at the moment. We have Ezekiel 23, 33, 23, 36, 39, Jeremiah 23, 29, Genesis 15, 17, Joel 2:30, 1 John 5:8, Ephesians 5:22, Numbers 8:7, Psalms 118, 19 through 29, 104 to 106, Isaiah 12:3, 48:11, Deuteronomy 30, 19, 28, 1 through 2, 27, 26. And 1 Peter 4:12 are the selections from the Bible. And from the Quran, we have things summed up a little bit better, but upon the same themes, you could say. It's difficult to decide which ones I was going to pick for fire and blood because the Bible talks a lot about fire and blood. So from the Quran, 22, 19 through 24, 31, 36, and 37, 28, 81, 48, 10, and 18. And if you had some thoughts about Yule, I would say that one of the things that would be good to do is if you have a set of ogams, is that how you pronounce them?
Now, what is that?
Basically, there's like a series of 26 things, just like Yule, because it's pre-Celtic New Year at the solstice. So the Irish and the Scottish, they would use ohms, and they read from bottom to top, and there are little marks across the line. So they have this little squiggly thing at the end. One points up, the other points down, and you start and then you finish with whatever word. And they'd use boundary markers and all sorts of stuff. So before the Celts came and conquered those areas, that was their alphabet.
Oh, okay.
And I don't know. There's okay. I will look for. I don't want to have too much of a drag with things, so I think we'll move on to the formulas that I have derived from Feraferia, Church of Hermetic Science books. And
all right.
Okay. The mark is made as the center is met. Soaked in starlit, we are awakened. As completely dark as will be, we come as an infant. We were not to be always enfolded, but beyond the darkened. The snake is dancing till it's shed. Terms and beyond ring in our head. From heaven, the fallen lion is awakened by the eagle. The numbers have meaning and purpose. That's regal. Unseen plates will sing and become physical. Figures of old are referenced as psychological. The earth moves for the forgotten. Unknown groves will prove their worth. The waters will unite to avenge the blood of those of ultimate mirth. The fire lights the rude. The new doesn't have to fight the old. Past ways are through. Each will know their enemies. The gates are opened for the angels and devils on that day. Primordial chaos has separated and dissolved as our star is seen in the sky. Beyond the alchemical will not be so obscure. All may take 22, 24, and 26 breaths as a dragon. The endings are beginnings in this eternally sinking flagon. By evocation and invocation, all else awaken. What is this offering but motivation? Formed and unformed, from on high to the lowest, are offering. Wisdom, buff, zdooth, zorg, her, zahi, vibzo, wepso, zew. And so what are your thoughts on the
Oh,
formulas that we have?
I picked up quite a bit from this. First of all, I had a very soothing effect there right at the end when you were just speaking. A very soothing effect. The invocation and invocation, the awakenings. I feel more awakenings, the soothing effect, warmth. Um, I feel, jumping ahead, as in progression, um, not necessarily being impatient, but, jumping ahead a little bit may be good in some cases. And another thing that I first picked up on was I saw myself, decorating my surroundings, but it isn't it more about the placement of things, not just the decoration
Well,
itself. See
something
what I'm
that will
saying?
have made its appearance in the video by now, what the video from the 7th of December is one of the things that came through with this. Sometimes you want to mess around with the order of stuff. You have the right stuff in your hand.
Right.
But or you got the right stuff, but you want to tweak with the little or the order or the placement of the stone or whatever, and then sometimes the vision comes forth when you've been waiting for it, or you don't know what it was going to be, but you have the experience when you have the right position and you have the
Mm-hmm.
thing. Now going in, we have two words that I don't think I've said. Tevzims is unveiling, occultation, um, thematic, and we have Puzbunvum, which is what's my writing with that? Companions. So chosen companions or something like that. But there's the word here. I think there's a
Mm-hmm.
word for a covenant or a pact or something like this. So I think vum gavub is that, but I want to make sure that that's the right word here.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Um, it's okay. Yeah, endings, disassociation. So you're disassociating from some other things. So and zum zum. So we have all the seasons have zum in it, and I forget at the moment how it breaks down. So zum, one is spring, one is summer, one is winter, and I think that means in the way of the darkest time of year is winter, and the brightest time of year is summer, rather than it starting at the thing. Okay, zims is the word for fall. But zumzum is the word for winter.
Okay.
Okay. So I guess that's enough with that and all. So I'll get into what I call the green verses, and it's difficult to pull back and forth on the graphic here a little bit. So
Yeah.
if my reading was not totally solid, it's easier when I got the board or a paper in front of me, because this thing
Okay.
is slanted, first of all. Okay, so
I understand it's
22, 19 to 24. Here are two antagonists who contend about their Lord. Garments of fire have been prepared for unbelievers. Scalding water shall be poured on their heads, melting their skins, and that which is in their bellies. They shall be lashed with rods of iron. Whenever in anguish they try to escape from hell. Okay, am I reading the whole thing? Okay. Back they shall be dragged, and they will be told, taste the punishment of the conflagration. Remember that channel? They talk about the conflagration. Some of the Order of Nine Angles related groups talk about the conflagration. This is sort of along that thing. As for those who have faith and do good works, God will admit them to gardens watered by running streams. They shall be decked with pearls and bracelets of gold, arrangement of silk. Oh, is there another verse here? For they have been guided to the noblest of words. They've been guided to the path of the glorious Lord. Okay, so that's the one thing. So fire and water and all that stuff, and two different paths. You know that song? Yes, there are two paths that you can go on, but in the long run, there's still time to change the road you're on. And I really can't sing to do too much with that because that's one's really heavily.
Yeah.
They do the thing with. Dedicate yourself to God and serve none beside him. The man who serves others deities besides God is like him who falls from heaven and is snatched by the birds or is carried away by the wind to some far off region. Even such as he. So we've talked about the wind, so that kind of fits in well with that. And I mean, whatever one believes or doesn't believe about this stuff, it's just the, you know, there's a lot of tradition with these terms.
Yeah.
And 37. Oh, it's 37, the one with the flesh and blood. Okay. Their flesh and blood does not reach God. It is your piety that reaches him. Thus, he has subjected them to your service so that you may give glory to God for guiding you. Now, let me look real quick here. And as I said, feel free to share your thoughts at any point.
I feel with the
not the flesh and the blood. Okay. Okay, so the regard. So it's not the outer forms, but this regard. And like that book, like Honor Kindle's book, it's like, you just kill something. Doesn't matter what you kill, just make sure that you kill something for this. And it's like, that's not really the spirit we're seeing here with that.
Right. Well, you know, I was just thinking, you know, drastic changes are needed, or are they? But I wasn't thinking, you know, exactly along like that. But yeah, with the fire and water, you know, the scalding and all that. Yeah, it's just drastic. Don't need to be. Not all the time, or does it?
Well, that was like the point. Is, are you going to identify with glory and not have to be through there? And then you got this other passage about the elements. We caused the earth, 2881, we caused the earth to swallow him together with his dwelling, so that he found none beside God to protect him, nor he was able to defend himself. And behold, those on that day have covered his lot till the next morning. Said, behold, God gives abundantly to whom he will, and sparingly to whom he pleases, but for God, he could have caused the earth to swallow us. Behold, the ungrateful shall never prosper. Now, you know that passage in the Bible, Deuteronomy or whatever it is, with that Korah person? And it sounds a lot more like a bad guy when you say, Kirch, Kirch. Korah doesn't sound, oh, that doesn't, but his name is Kirch. That sounds a lot more like, ooh, Kirch. But you know, the earth swallows him. It's
yeah.
It's the same guy. And then you have the opposite sort of story. You have like the earth's like, oh, we don't want that dude in us, and they won't let you bury. Different cultures have that story that there's some guy that like the earth would not accept the guy's burial, and they give up on burying the guy.
Right.
And to get the final theme in, so we have the elements here. And so we go into the verses of oaths. Now, if you've ever seen somebody take their oath as a Sufi, I don't remember which one of these two or whether it was both, but the Shadliya order, when I joined that one, this is what I took. Now, I didn't take it like everybody else, apparently. So that caused some issues with some people. It's like, oh, you have to, it's like, no, I don't have to, so
Right.
48, 10, and 18. So first we have the numbers all weird with this one. Because see, it doesn't have the numbers beside it. Sometimes, that's there. So verse 10, those that swear fealty to you, swear fealty to God himself. The hand of God is above their hands, and he that breaks their oath, his oath breaks it at his own peril, but he keeps his pledge to God, shall be richly rewarded by him. So any worldly leaders, see, that's the thing that that narcissist cult leaders don't get, is that any of the worldly leaders, it's not about them. It's about this, they're but a means. And the terms really shouldn't be their own terms, like their own likes and not likes. It's like, I have my own opinions, but I don't, in my personal life or otherwise, I don't want to just say, I don't want to be one of those ones that forbids people. It's like it's one thing if it hurts me or something like that. It's like, dude, don't yell at me. What's wrong with you? But the
greater good should always,
but if it's just they like something, and it's like, fine, they like something. And I'm a sort of a stickler with honesty. It's like, I've and it's like, okay, well, don't call yourself this if like, it's like vegetarians that eat meat all the time. Well, I don't eat the chunks of meat. I'm a vegan, but I had milk in my food. It's like, well, if you eat stuff with milk in it, you're not a vegan.
Or only fish.
or you're not short of money if you can do this sort of stuff or whatever. But yeah, this thing that you see in a lot of these YouTube videos and stuff like that, that I know you've seen some of them to talk about. It's like, it's one thing repenting of being a part of the path or whatever you want to call it. It's like, I just don't believe this anymore, so I'm not going to be part of it. I'm not going to keep my terms. I'm whatever. But this thing that you're just jumping around, making promises and breaking them to spirits and everything else. No, I think if there's going to be a problem with those spirits, it's largely going to be a problem because they've sat back and said, yeah, these spirits, it's like, this guy has turned against us for no reason. He's just popping around, whatever.
All right.
And okay, the other one, God is well pleased with you. And by God, we're talking about the transcendent means, numinous, not gendered, astonishing, beyond male, female, verb and noun, all that sort of stuff. So God's well pleased with the faithful when they swore allegiance to you under the tree. He knew what was in their hearts. Therefore, he sent down tranquility upon them. Sakina, in the Bible, there's talk about the Shekinah, the presence. And so the Shekinah is both something about yourself, like the Upanishads talk about the Devatas and stuff like this. So you're in line with these causal beings, and these causal beings are working with you. But they become present too. So you're presencing them. So that term presencing, this is what's going on here. Upon them and rewarded them with speedy victory and with many spoils, which they have taken. Mighty is God and wise. And of course, because you use the word God. It's like, what in the world do people mean by God? So I kind of like when I direct a translation, when I present something, I kind of like to make it clear what exactly they're talking about, sort of thing. Now, of course, I don't agree with a lot of the stuff in here particularly, but I understand the power of using those things as formulas. But what do we have here? So we have swearing allegiance and stuff too. It's not about blood and soil, but then what is it about? You're under the tree, like the tree of life. I talked about the LDS scripture, like one of the options that you can have of your missionary or baptism Bible that or you're giving it to someone else is their tree of life. And the tree of life has 13. And one of the Christmas songs comes from an old Jewish song that starts, who knows 13 attributes of God, that sort of thing. And you'll first find that formula of the order that they are in the separated verses. But the tree is obviously a representative of yourself. It's a representative of the path. It's a representative of a lot of things. And did I accidentally close the meeting, or did I just switch windows here?
I still see the board.
Okay, I see it. So, okay. 1 John 5. Oh, okay, well, I'll look away my own graphic here. 5:8. Oh, there's a lot of Peters and Johns, and at some point I'll probably read off the Greek to this one here, because there's little differences. But 5:8, he that loves not knew not God, because God love is. Well, it's agape is more like good manners. It's better to understand that in that context. Oh no, that's 4:8. Okay, never mind. That didn't make sense in that context. Okay. And 3 there are who bear witness on the earth, the spirit, the water, and the blood. And the 3 to the 1 are. Now, taking that outside of the Trinity, of course, we know these gateways. So there's the spiritual in general, which is the greater gateway. And we have the blood and the other fluid that can be connected to all this. And what do we have here? That 1 Peter 4:12. And I'm sorry if I'm not letting you talk here.
Oh, it's fine.
Trying to get through.
I'm taking lots of notes.
Here,
I have so many notes.
beloved, take not take not as strange among you fire for trial to you, taking place as if a strange thing to you is happening. Okay, so the parentheses kind of changed the meaning right here. So the fire, again, we talk about the word jinn, the fire beings, but it's all the elementals. Don't get fooled with these grimoires and like some groups are the jinn and some groups aren't the jinn. All the ones that aren't just dead people or something, those are jinn, all of them.
Okay.
Ephesians. Oh, and you have that book, and we'll go into that. If that book's old enough, I guess we'll talk into that next time around here.
Okay.
So from Ephesians, we have 5:22. Colossians, is it Colossians, Thessalonians? Oh, I see. I don't remember those little songs. Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, Deuteronomy, Joshua, Judges, and Ruth. Kings, all that sort of stuff. They had you do little songs, and when you're LDS, it's like first and second book of Nephi, Jacob, Enos, Jerem, Omni, Words of Mormon, and Messiah in the Book of Mormon, and so they had us do that stuff.
Oh, that's neat. I had heard of that, but I didn't know exactly how, the rhyme of it.
Okay, wives, as to your own husbands, submit yourselves as unto the Lord. So, okay, I don't know why Ephesians 5:22, but that's what came up.
The elementals, these elementals, do you think? Well, I have a question, but I don't exactly know how to phrase it. But like when I think of elemental, can such things in a sort of way be created by energy, so to speak?
Well, you can open the gateways. So like, for example, the fire, if you take that as the will, and the water as sort of the feeling, the emotion, or whatever, you could open these gateways, and then the elementals will relate to whatever. Just like the whole thing with the devatas, or the presencing. The presencing relates to how you evoke yourself. So you're working with these things in yourself psychologically and connecting it with your devotion, your spiritual consciousness, and then that opens a gateway for these things to come through. we have in
Yeah.
the Vedic, the Islamic, the Zoroastrian, whatever, there's this idea of three created realms. And we refer, let's just drop off and I'll leave the verses from here for another program. We'll talk about the tarot cards and whatever. But so we have the three created realms. We have the fire beings, we got the humans, we got the light beings, and above that is the ultimate void, or whatever you want to call it. But yeah, yeah, there's not really time to do this, so we have like 2 minutes left, and then I'll go.
Okay.
But I took the Visago Millennium Prophecy. Well, there was more to it than that. And so some of these is bounced off of that. I thought, okay, how can I work this into the thing? The Farah proper, which wasn't the same as the OTO, the Order of Template Astarte, or the Church of Hermetic Sciences, they had, but they worked with the Farah thing, and they were definitely influenced by Robert Graves and those who formerly called themselves Farah. So Frederick Adams had this book, and so that book, that's one of the ones that's his 9 seasonal things. That's one of the things I worked into this, and so I've put a little bit of that, a little bit of that. I flipped in some of the other 7th ray journals and mixed in some stuff. I wanted to relate it to this thing, the Satan Fire Blood Covenant. So that thing, I wanted to connect everything in a way to that. So I wanted to connect these various mythological themes to that point. But the 26 Ogams, if you're going to use a set of symbols as something extra to do there, I would do that. But I am cutting a chunk out of a log. I'm cutting a slice off of a cedar log. Now there's other wood around here. I really should get a variety of wood, but I'm just going to use the cedar log because that's without cutting down a whole tree or whatever.
Awesome, good choice.
So I'm going to make a little round and have that there, and I'll send pictures. I'll send you pictures of my altar. I'm making a new stone altar. I'm dragging little boulders or little rocks. Some of them are bigger than others. Over, down, and making another rock circle for this.
Awesome.
And so that we have that little down arrow. Remember that stuff in Cornelius Agrippa? You've seen that stuff, like some of the triangle, some of the pentagrams have a point